Well, the things that I really wanted to have personally in the show were monsters. So how do we create these monsters? We could have had puppets or complicated costumes, but I like to come back to that simple sort of improv philosophy that, well, we can do it all. So we wanted to have monster building creatures with more than one performer, and building a dragon, building a spider creature, and
you rehearsed that?
we practiced just the idea of how to build monsters, how to build armies, and have the armies be the same. You know, an orc army should look different than an elf army. For me, a good show has a lot of blood.
Really?
In this genre, yes. The more blood that is spilled, the better battles there were, and the bigger the battle, the bigger the prize. And so tonight we spilled more blood than the night before, so I am very pleased. In Winnipeg we always say, let's kill, and we did tonight, so I was very happy. In our world, maybe doesn't make sense to most logical people. There's no reason to kill, but in these fantasy worlds you must fight for what's true, otherwise people will be crushed and destroyed and ruined, so you have to fight for what's right. Generally speaking, most simple fantasies will follow the sort of hero's journey, which I think most improvisers are familiar with. This sort of idea of one hero, the monomyth, where one hero goes on this adventures, and there's certain things that sort of seem to always happen or come up throughout mythology and storytelling. So in a way, the structure is a very basic, simple structure of the hero's journey. Do we always accomplish that on the stage? Maybe not, but that's what we're aiming for, is that kind of a thing. So again, the structure is in a sense loose. I want the improvisers to have freedom to follow their impulse and follow ideas, and at the same time, in this format with having a narrator, I'm kind of there to say, okay, slow down, let's make sense of these things, because sometimes when we're working with a big cast and languages are different, there can be some miscommunication, so it's good to have someone there to go, this is what we're saying. In the sense of theater, we want to try to transport people to another world, and this is kind of the hardest world to transport people to. If we say, well, this is Mexico, everyone goes, well, I know what Mexico is. We have science and facts to prove it. If you say, well, show us a scene from 1950s America, we kind of have this idea and this cliche of what it is. But when we're on stage in a fantasy, we have to really make it clear to the audience that this is a fantastic and magical world where anything can happen. And it's kind of an extra pressure, I think, for us to be able to try to take the audience to this place, because if I go on stage and I go, I'm in a kitchen, the whole audience goes, okay, you're in a kitchen. But if I say I'm in a magical forest, they go, I know forest, but I don't know what magical means. So it's a bit more pressure on us to really explain and show the magic and the wonder that is in this fantasy world. So I would say that's a bit of the pressure for me, is to try to make them all believe, like, hey, we were really in a magical place there for a moment.
This typical improv ironic part of the play, isn't that a point that puts you out the magic?
I would say yes, and I would say no. What I would say yes to is yes, when we're perhaps making a joke or making light of a moment, we are in some way taking the audience out of that world. But there's also a time when the audience recognizes, wait a second, something's not going right, and I believe that it's a stronger choice to say to the audience, hey, here's a joke, because we're okay with this misunderstanding. If they feel like we're failing and that we're doing a bad job, then they go, okay, this is bad. So by sometimes showing the audience that, hey, we're okay, this is fun for us, and we're okay with the mistake, then they go, okay, this is fine.